Question: what is source energy exactly? And is being selfish ever a good thing? Someone I once considered a close friend called me selfish one day because they noticed I started caring more about myself and how I felt and less about being what they needed me to be in order to make them happy. One of the most important lessons I've learned on my spiritual journey is when it comes to caring for people in your life, to always remember to include yourself in the equation. After all, if you're not okay, then how on earth do you expect to gain and maintain the strength to care for anyone else? You have an obligation to yourself. Also, I want to correct something I said in a previous video about your power and how it can't be taken away. Now, though your energy cannot be taken away, your power can. In this video, I'm going to explain to you what is actually happening energy-wise when you encounter a negative person. So going forward, you'll know how to protect yourself from the effects of negativity. Though it may feel like it, a negative person is not actually draining your energy or sucking the energy out of a room. So let's take back that power and stop giving them so much credit. I'm going to explain to you why this is impossible. But first, I want to talk about self-care, and in that I'll touch on what is actually happening when you encounter someone with lower vibrational energy. Also, I'm going to talk a little bit about the subconscious mind and negative programming. I was having a conversation the other day with a gentleman, and we were talking about positive energy and the law of attraction, of course, and the subject of self-care and the importance of caring about how you feel came up. Firstly, it's important for everyone to care about how they feel. I believe it is especially important for men to hear this message because as young boys, most are taught by their fathers or the male figures in their lives not to exhibit certain emotions because it shows weakness. So many men today have blocked out certain emotions which are vital. In my case, after the age of about 4, my father wasn't in my life. My mom discovered that he had been unfaithful on several occasions, and after work, he'd spend most of his free time partying with his Marine buddies, as though the family he had waiting for him at home was of no importance. Growing up, I never understood why womanizing seemed to be a badge of honor for most men. It wasn't until I embarked upon my spiritual journey that I would come to the understanding of why negative people in general behave and think the way they do. It was the Jesuits, the followers of Christ, over 400 years ago who coined the phrase, "Give me a child up until he's 7 and I will show you the man." They knew that children's ages 0 to 6 are very impressionable. I'm certain that most of you can attest to the way children between that age seem to absorb knowledge like sponges. According to Dr. Joe Dispenza, a scientist, teacher, and best-selling author who has spent much of his career studying and researching the human mind, found that this happens because up until the age of 6, a child's brain is in what is called theta mode, which is slow brain activity. Theta waves are strong during internal focus, meditation, prayer, and spiritual awareness. For example, hypnotherapists use certain techniques to hypnotize people by putting them in a trance-like state before implanting certain suggestions into their subconscious mind. They do this by getting the person to slow their brain down into theta. Think about it. Ages 0 to 6 is when the programming is being uploaded into the subconscious. This is why during this time, the introduction of a positive environment is of extreme importance. Everything from ages 7 on up, most of what we learn is by way of repetition. But here's the kicker. 95% of our lives from ages 7 to 35, we are living much of that program, whether it's positive or negative. So if you're ever wondering where you picked up a certain habit, if you find yourself trapped in an endless cycle and you cannot seem to move forward, maybe it's time you look back and start letting go of the things that are not serving you in a positive way. I just felt it was important to shed a little bit of light on the why before continuing on about the conversation I had with the gentleman. He went on to explain how he's a more positive-minded person and generally loves feeling the feeling of happy. As the conversation continued, he opened up a little more, sharing a personal situation that had to do with his girlfriend and how she was suffering from deep depression. He mentioned that she had a strenuous relationship with her father because of something stemming from her childhood. While sharing, he mentioned something that really concerned me. He said that sometimes he takes some of her negative energy onto himself to give her a bit of a break because she suffers so much and was weighed down by it. He felt that by doing so, he was in a way relieving her of some of that negative energy. Of course, I was a bit floored by this because I'm well aware of the dangers that can cause. My question to him was, how do you feel after so-called taking on her energy? He said afterwards he felt tired, sad, a little depressed, and it left him nearly depleted of his energy. I began explaining to him that everyone is responsible for the energy they create, and that no one can take or give someone their energy. I further explained that what he had done was lowered his vibrational frequency to match hers, and I advised him to be very careful not to do that again. Now, it's okay, it's absolutely okay to be there for someone during their time of need, especially when they're battling depression. I then shared with him a few positive reinforcement examples to try that might help, such as pointing out her positive attributes in hopes that she would be encouraged to exhibit more of those, or encourage her to focus more on her positive experiences. Because by focusing on the positive, you raise your vibrations. I also advise him to try not to get emotionally involved in whatever negative energy someone has going on vibrationally. Because once your emotions are involved, your frequency will tune to that person's lower vibration. And frankly, two people hanging off a cliff cannot help each other. One would have to lift themselves up first from the danger, then help the other person up to safety. Here's an example of self-care and making sure you're in the best position before helping someone. Before taking off on a flight, the flight attendants tell you that in case of an emergency and there's a loss in cabin pressure, oxygen masks will fall from above, and they instruct you to put on your mask first before assisting the person next to you who is incapable of doing so for themselves. Which makes sense, because if you're fumbling around trying to put on someone else's mask before putting on your own, you may lose consciousness and then everyone's doomed. So all I'm saying is it's important to know how to be there for someone who's experiencing depression or low moments without getting pulled down emotionally. Now, when it comes to self-care, your emotions is the fuel that is used to project outward the energy created by your negative thoughts or your rockets of desires, which is why you must be mindful of what you think and, most importantly, care about how you feel. Everything you have ever gone through has been for good reason. It may not make sense now, but your inner being, your inner guidance system, that inner extension of source energy within you knows what it's doing. And one day, in one moment, it'll all make sense. Lower vibrational energies do not define you, so do not allow them to confine you. We are here to become experimentally rich. All of your hardships, all of your pains will eventually make sense. Know that they are life lessons, not your life sentence. Try to realize that you cannot be what you witness, and let them go with compassion. Start caring more about how you feel, because it is an indicator of what is going on within. Your light is eternal, people. Awaken your potential and feel what you are wanting. Ask and know with every fiber of your being that it is given. We are vibrational beings, and we attract. We are not apart from God. We are a part of God. We have extensions of source energy within us. We are energy in human form. There's a scripture that describes God as being the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. There has never been any before, nor will there ever be one after. God has always been and will always be. I began meditating on this description, and the more I meditated on it, the more clearer it became. It was as though I was being guided to the answer of a question I once asked my inner self. I found this description to be, in a way, similar to how energy is described. It was Einstein who said, "Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is the cause and effect of itself." Everything is energy, and energy is everywhere. It is constant. Energy has always been and will always be. God is source energy. That is energy in its purest form. And that energy only vibrates love. We are made in the likeness of the ultimate creator. Therefore, we are creators as well. You can continue like most, which is to create your life by default, or you can purposely be co-creators in the direction of your life. Here's the takeaway. Everyone and everything is made of energy, and that energy is a part of Source, God. It is what connects us all to each other. And when it comes to caring about how you feel, selfishness is a good thing. If you're still with me, please comment on your experience. I would love to learn and read from you as well. Also, sharing is caring, so feel free to like and share with as many people as possible, especially those you think it may help. By showing your support, you help me to keep this thing going for as long as I have breath. So if you enjoyed my content and would like to learn more, please, by all means, subscribe or follow. Your support means so much to me, and I really appreciate it. I really do. In closing, remember to do all the good you can to all the people you can in every way you can, just because you can. I'm Tandre Olay, wishing you love, light, and many blessings.
You are more powerful than you think.